Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to the King Island Council Annual General Meeting for financial year 2023-2024. For the record, today's date is Tuesday, the 10th of December 2024. I call the meeting to order, declare the meeting open at 4:01 p.m. Usual housekeeping applies. If you can just make sure your mobile phones are turned off or put on silent so that we are not interrupted. Thank you. Item 1 for the AGM, as per the ordinary, is qualified advice. Pursuant to Section 65 of the Local Government Act of the State of Tasmania 1993, qualified advice has been received to prepare the AGM agenda this afternoon, particularly relevant to Section 72B, the requirements for councils in Tasmania only, no other councils in Australia do it, out of interest, for councils in Tasmania to run an annual general meeting. Item 2, attendance and apologies. Welcome all councillors and staff in attendance. Just confirming our councillor numbers with Councillor Laidler on a leave of absence. We are 8 of 9 councillors, so we certainly have a quorum and we are good to transact council business. King Island Council staff are here as required. Jess has joined us now. We've done the comms checks, so we're all good. Are there any staff apologies?
No, we're all here.
Okay. Media attendance proceedings are being recorded as per normal business. And public attendance, there isn't any at this stage, but as always, I welcome all interested constituents that are here in the gallery and those that might listen to the recording afterwards. Any public that do come in, we're going to ask them for the AGM just to sign in. We need to keep a register for our AGM under the Act requirements. Over to item 3, confirmation of the previous AGM minutes. The minutes are actually attached to the back of this document, pages 9 to 15. Our previous AGM was held at last safe on the 12th of December last year. If councillors are satisfied, would somebody like to move acceptance of those minutes? The Deputy Mayor has moved. Do I have a seconder? Councillor Green has seconded. All those in favour? Carried unanimously. Right, we'll move across to item 4, which is the main affair for the AGM this afternoon. It's presentation of our annual report document for financial year 23-24. As I mentioned last week, I do like the surrealistic smoke on the water cover photograph. It's definitely eye-catching. And I acknowledge all the work that has gone into putting this annual report together from all the staff and others that have been involved. I acknowledge the very, very good report card we received from our auditing of our finances for 23-24. That's obviously all included and a significant part of the annual report that's attached here. So I commend it to you. General Manager, have you got anything else to say?
Well, thanks, Mr Mayor. I'll just say a few words. Annual reports aren't always on the top of the reading list, but I think this is an important document because it does reflect our commitment to the community, and this reflects our report card back to the community. So for those of you who have seen the report, there's some messages from the Mayor and myself, a bit about the councillors, about the Artist in Residence program, and various other parts that we also talk about. I think the most important part, equally important part, is the annual plan, which you'll see from page 21 onwards. And it's a very detailed description of the annual plan, and a lot of these actions are ongoing, and so they flow from one year to the next. Some are in progress and some have been completed. So I think that that's a good report card back to the community in terms of what the staff have been doing, and it's a very small team at Council, and what they have achieved in the last 12 months. So I think that's important reading for councillors and for the community, just to say, okay, we've achieved these outcomes, we've got a bit more to do, but I think that's been a very good response for the last 12 months. And then, of course, as the Mayor mentioned, we have the annual financial report. Again, not everyone's cup of tea in relation to reading a lot of financial reports, but we had a very strong audit and a very good response back from the auditors. We had very detailed questions from the auditors, and you may be aware that the Auditor General's Office does contract out, so we had BDO accountants look at our end-of-year finances and also the Audit Office, so we had a double a double go at that from that perspective. So I think, again, the councillors and the community can rest easy that we're in a good financial position and that we completed last financial year in a very strong state. So I think that just covers the key aspects.
Thanks, GM. I've just noted one typo that we'd better fix on page 33.
Yep.
It's annual financial report for the year ended. It should be for the year ended 30 June 2024, not 2023. So, Lee, could you just take note of that on page 33?
Just shows how many pairs of eyes can look at it.
We've all made this mistake ourselves. It's easy to make. It should read for the year ended 30th of June 2024, not 2023.
And I actually might have another one. It says draft on the cover.
Oh, yeah, it's draft.
It's draft until we ratify it tonight,
Right.
and then it becomes obviously.
It says 2023.
Yeah, that's a strange one. It says 23. Anyway, so
We'll go with this one.
we'll check any inconsistencies and do one final check of it to make sure it's good to go live. Any other comments from councillors? 2024 has been a tough year for all of us. It's been challenging for the island. It's been a test of our resolve and everything. So again, I think we can look back with considerable pride of what we achieved during 23-24 collectively as a team and how much we've advanced King Island commensurate to the available resources we have as a small council and an isolated jurisdiction. Any other comments or discussion? Mindful of those typos and a final proofread. Would somebody like to move acceptance of the annual report? Councillor Rowan Cook has moved. Have a seconder? Councillor Ira Cook has seconded. All those in favour? Councillor Allen, are you with us? Or?
No, I'm going to abstain.
Okay. All right. So carried 7, 4, 1 abstention.
Okay.
Got those numbers? Okay. All right, over the page, there being no further business on our AGM agenda, I declare the AGM closed at 4:08 p.m. We'll take a quick break to reset for the ordinary meeting, and the meeting is adjourned. Thank you. Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to the King Island Council Ordinary Meeting for the month of December 2024. For the record, today's date is Tuesday the 10th of December 2024 and what will be our last ordinary meeting for the calendar year. I call the meeting to order and declare the meeting open at 4:10 p.m. Again, just a reminder, please ensure your mobile phones are on silent or turned off so that we're not interrupted. Item 1, as always, is qualified advice pursuant to Section 65 of the Local Government Act of the State of Tasmania, 1993. Qualified advice has been received to fully prepare the agenda for this afternoon. Over to item 2, attendance and apologies. I again welcome all councillors and staff in attendance. Just to reconfirm our quorum numbers, with Councillor Layla currently on a leave of absence and everybody else accounted for, we are 8 of 9 councillors. We certainly have a quorum and we are good to transact council business. Staff attendance, King Island Council staff are here as required. We've done all the necessary comms checks on screen. And there are no other staff apologies we need to mention. First and foremost, I'd like to welcome Nanda Uppalapati. How's that? Got it right, didn't I? Nanda, I'd like to welcome Nanda to the King Island Council team as our new works manager. He's been with us now for a few weeks, came down from Tennant Creek in the Northern Territory to work with us here on King Island, so quite a change and contrast in climate. Great to have you as the newest addition to our team. And we wish you all the best and we look forward to getting to know you. Media attendance, proceedings are being recorded as per normal business. Public attendance, on behalf of King Island Council, I welcome all interested constituents that are here in the gallery today. We may have a few join us shortly. And also all who will listen to the recording afterwards. For the opening statement, would everyone please stand? Councillors, to begin the meeting, I ask you to stand in silence to pray or reflect on our responsibilities to the people of King Island. We begin today by acknowledging the traditional custodians of the land on which we meet today and pay our respects to their elders past and present. We extend that respect to Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander peoples here today. Thank you. Please resume your seats. Item 3 is presentations. There are nil presentations for today. Item 4 is public question time. We don't have any public here at the moment to ask questions, but again, just for the recording, any interested constituents that are here in our gallery attending our council meetings, where we meet to, we'll allow a maximum 15 minutes question time for the public to ask the council questions without notice. So I just remind constituents out there that is an opportunity for them that's available every ordinary council meeting. They can attend in person and ask those questions of us. And where we can't answer them here in person with the expertise around the table, we will take those questions on notice and we'll give them a formal response as we're obligated to. Over the page, item 5 is declaration of interests. Are there any for the agenda this afternoon?
Yes, Mayor. 16.5.
Imperial 20. Thanks, Deputy Mayor. Councillor Allen, same for you. Okay, yeah, excellent. All right, thank you. I don't envisage any others, but noted those two. Thank you. Item 6. There are no questions on notice. Straight over to item 7, questions without notice. Does any councillor have a question without notice? Deputy Mayor, you sure?
I'm sure. Every day off.
Again, just a reminder there that this is the opportunity for councillors to ask a question without notice. Councillor Rowan Cook, just for your info, whereby an issue has arisen or you've been approached by constituents or whatever else, and you want to ask something that's current, that hasn't made the cut-off to be going to the agenda proper, then questions without notice is an opportunity for councillors there to pile in. All right, item 8 is confirmation of previous minutes. Our previous ordinary council meeting was held last month on the 19th of November 2024. Those minutes have been distributed to all. If we're satisfied, would somebody like to move that we receive those minutes? Councillor Ira Cook has moved. Do I have a seconder? Councillor Allen has seconded. Thank you. All those in favour? Carried unanimously. Over the page, item 9. Item 9 requires us to convene as a planning authority. Would somebody therefore like to move that council adjourn our ordinary meeting and we proceed into session as a planning authority pursuant to that section? Somebody like to move? Deputy Mayor's moved. Thank you. Councillor Green has seconded. All those in favour? Carried unanimously. The planning authority is now in session. The ordinary meeting is now resumed. Over the page, item 10.1, Mayor's Diary for November. Again, I've kept it to one page. I could easily fill 2. Another busy month. I think you're all familiar with the goings-on of last month, but if there's any questions or anything you'd like me to talk more about, I'm happy to, of course. All right, councillors are satisfied. Would somebody like to move receipt of my diary? Councillor Healy has moved. Councillor Rowan Cook has seconded. All those in favour? Carried unanimously. Over the page, item 11.1, the financial report for November. Again, we'll take our time to go through this section by section as required, and also the financial tables that are attached at the back. Who'd like to kick us off for discussion or questions? Councillor Allen.
Thanks, Mayor. I'd love to break the ice here. Just my question relates to page 16, and it's the capital grant section, third section, and it relates to the $190,000 for the Curry Courts. I understand that project was being funded out of a grant that originally included the community gym. And I also understand there was some negotiation at some stage to look at some variation to be able to get some additional funds to develop the Curry Courts. Have we got to the stage where the grant administrators made a decision? So does this $190,000 reflect a decision made by the grant administrators?
Helen.
Yeah, through the GM to Helen. If you could please answer that one.
Yes. Short answer, we've got the full project budget for the Curry Courts funded through the Community Development Grants Programme.
Magnificent.
That's good news for the month, I believe.
Yes, why not? We'll take it. A Christmas present. They didn't put a bow on it, but the spirit is there.
Music to my ears. Thank you.
It was, sorry, what was that total budget again? Just to remind us.
So it was 500,000 for the works on the Curry Courts, and
Yeah.
from memory, just short of 90,000 that was already spent on the planning work for
Yeah,
the gym.
okay.
So all of that is covered
Just-
by the
So
Commonwealth.
just under 600k. Brilliant.
So the 190 was our first progress payment, covering all of the funding spent to date and the first payment for the current work.
Okay. That's redeployment of 60% of our original grant for something, departed a fair way from the original scope. So that's well done to you and others for getting that through.
Yeah, good work.
And so that'll guarantee delivery and when a completion of those courts heading into summer, the surfaces, the remaining works will be finished in good order in the months ahead.
Yeah.
Excellent. All right, we'll continue through. Again, just a reminder about the financial tables attached, pages 21 to 28. All right, there's no further questions or discussion. Councillors are satisfied. Would somebody like to move that we receive and note the financial report for the month of November? Councillor Healy has moved. Do I have a seconder? Deputy Mayor has seconded. All those in favour? Carried unanimously. Across to page 29. And page 29 is item 12.1 of the operations report for November. Again, I welcome Nanda to the King Island Council team. Great to have you with us, Nanda. And this is your first report to the council. Good to have you here in person. All mindful that Nanda's only been on the job for a few weeks. Has not, wouldn't have seen every stretch of road on the island yet by a long shot, and still has much to learn. So we'll just gauge any questions for him with that in mind. You might have to take them away.
I'll move this report be received.
Just any final questions, sorry, or discussion, specific questions for Nanda on current works or anything else? No? Okay. Thank you. Deputy Mayor has moved. Receipt of the report. Councillor Ira Cook has seconded. All those in favour? Carried unanimously. Across to item 12.2, Airport Services Report for November. Jayden is not with us tonight, is he?
No.
And Jayden went to Brisbane recently to attend the National Airport Convention. Gave us a back brief, which we got on the email yesterday, which was good of him to give us a heads up about that. And good that we were represented there too at that huge industry forum. South Bank at Brisbane, I think it was last week or the week before. So,
Make a comment?
yes.
Through the Mayor, just be aware in the report there's two graphs. Please ignore the first one. So it was meant to be taken out. We had an updated graph but didn't quite make the final cut. So ignore the green graph, please.
And again, you can see the numbers there. November this year, 347 aircraft movements to November last year, 354. Where there's more activity at our airport this year heading into summer, which bodes well for us.
Isn't that a decrease?
Just a slight decrease.
347. Oh, yes, sorry, you're right. Yeah, sorry.
Okay.
But still
ballpark.
trending well and looking good. Any questions then or discussions related to the airport report?
Was that display out there initiated by the King Island Historic Society, or was it done by someone else? On top of page 32, first point. Yeah,
I can answer that one. Sorry. Catherine? Yeah, is that a... Yeah, so we were approached by the Historic Society, who had been approached by the people who are running this. It's a travelling exhibition, and because the Historical Society is a special committee of council and it's council property, we decided to proceed with installing the exhibition there. So, yeah, we were approached by them.
yeah, great work, great initiative.
It's a good exhibition.
It's great.
And I know also that I know we've talked about this at many council meetings. The fit out of the cafe slant bar is almost complete. It looks very elaborate and impressive, and hopefully soon it will open. It'd be nice if it would open before our next council meeting. We don't have to go keep repeating this. But anyway, we're almost there. So if it opens into our peak summer tourist season, which we anticipate it will be extremely welcome and albeit long overdue. Councillor Allen?
Just a question on that. Is the leasee committed to a date?
Not that I'm aware of yet.
Sorry?
Not
Oh,
that
no,
I'm aware of yet.
No, I don't.
Yeah, not that I'm aware of yet. It's unless anyone else has heard it. Jaden's not here. As soon as we know, we'll let you all know, and obviously there'll be, I imagine, some sort of a shindig to open it and a celebration, and we'll let you all know. All right.
Sorry, I missed the question. Was that something I can help with?
Just if we know when the airport cafe bar is going to officially open, if anyone's heard a date being set for it yet.
We don't have a set date at this stage, no, still working through it. Hoping very soon. I'm meeting with Vaughan kind of first thing when we get back to work in January, and hoping to be very, very close at that point. Or maybe they'll even get it in before then, I'm not sure. So yeah, not entirely sure. There's still a couple of moving parts on that, but definitely getting very close.
The moment any of us here, even via back channels, we'll, if we can, we'll make sure everyone gets the word. All right, any more questions then or discussion related to the airport report? Would somebody like to move, therefore, that the airport services report for November be received and noted? Councillor Green has moved. Councillor Ira-Cook has seconded. All those in favour? Carried unanimously. Over the page 2, item 13.1, Community and Cultural Development Report combined, and we welcome Taylor Stevens in her new role as our Community Development Manager. So great to have Taylor. Congratulations on your promotion, and great to have you here with us, attending council meetings now regularly as well.
I'd just also quickly like to say, just reading this report, it's fabulous that there are crisscrossing an event that could be just one event, but you've managed, or it's being managed, that people are speaking to the 3D network. It's creating a fabulous web in the community rather than just a one-off event, and that it goes with young people for the Mawsons Hub Foundation. It goes with the Artists in Residence program, the Wings on King program. It's fabulous that it's all crisscrossing and pulling in a whole lot of different people from different parts of the community. So well done.
Great to see another well-known local, Nubar Gazarian, now exhibiting his art, which is pretty impressive. Unfortunately, I couldn't make it on Saturday night myself, but good to see that's open and available now. So all of us throughout summer at some stage get in there and check it out. Nubar would appreciate it, I'm sure. And again, the gallery numbers continue to be very positive, and hopefully it'll be heavily trafficked over summer. And most tourists will go through, and as well as locals will go and see new exhibits or freshly rotated exhibits as well. We'll keep the numbers going through, and so well done on that front. And we discussed the Artists in Residence program, didn't we, at the workshop last Tuesday? So we've got an exciting lineup and a varied lineup next year of Artists in Residence. They're coming in, and we'll bring new disciplines that have never been, I don't think have ever been done before here on the island in the Artists in Residence program. So that will be exciting and fresh in itself, something we can all look forward to. Any further questions then or discussions? If we're happy, would somebody like to move that the Community and Cultural Development Report for November be received and noted? Councillor Healy has moved. I have a seconder. Councillor Green has seconded. All those in favour? Carried unanimously. Over the page, item 14.1, Growth and Strategy Report for November. A lot of this was updated last week in our workshop. And also, those of us that were here a few weeks back, we actually went down and visited the Hub building site. We walked inside and felt the materials and walked the ground inside and out. It's nearing a lock-up stage, which was exciting for us to see. And these wood panels, I'll tell you what, this thing is built strong and built tough. I'm impressed. It's nothing's going to blow that over, let me tell you. So it was good. Thanks for organising that site visit, Helen. And the windows are going in, I think, at the moment. The concrete retaining wall has been poured, and so we're now even closer to lock-up stage, aren't we?
We are indeed. I'm not certain that the windows are going in this week. I've asked the question just this afternoon once Councillor Philby, who's our on-site spy, let me know that the concrete had been poured for that nib wall, just to get a confirmation on the date for the windows. But it will be watertight and weatherproof before Christmas, absolutely, with a high chance that the windows are in before that.
And much of the internal work in the annex, the old general manager's house, has been done as well. We had a look at that also. So that's all falling into place at the moment. So I think from a schedule standpoint, we're well positioned at the moment to continue to meet our schedule milestones and everything else. And so it all bodes well. And I know all King Islanders are happy to see progress in the form of something being built that is different and is unmissable. From whichever direction you look, this thing is going to be unmissable, and so it's really good to see things actually happening on the ground. Councillor Allen.
Yeah, thanks, Mayor. I'm just on the hub, and I totally understand the what's happening with inflation on building products and the absolute need to bring that project into the budget. So I do understand why the $75,000 was saved for the rooftop lookout. My question is, if someone arrived with $75,000 and said, would love a lookout, is the building going to be built of that nature that we could retrofit a little lookout? Not that I've got 75 grand that I'm going to walk in here and just give you, but, you know,
I was really hoping that was going to be your next statement, to hand over a cheque.
well, you know, if I win Tatslotto, no worries. I guarantee you, I'll buy a Tatslotto ticket. If I win, I'll buy a lookout.
Thank you.
Yeah, guaranteed.
Appreciate it.
Yeah.
So the building is absolutely capable of taking a lookout. That bit's easy.
Excellent.
The design of the lookout would need to change from what we had previously costed, because as well as the cost of the lookout itself, the 75,000 wasn't just for the steel work for the lookout.
Yeah.
That was also about shaping the earth berm next to the building and a retaining wall. We're not doing that work now, which wouldn't mean that you couldn't get a lookout. It would just mean that the lookout would have to have a longer bridge, if you like, from the earth berm to the building.
For the access to it.
So when you win the lottery, if I could put my hand up for 125,000 or
right.
thereabouts.
It's got a bit more expensive, no worries. So I'm sure if we win, I can stretch it.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And as mentioned before, good news that the grant deed variation funding has been confirmed for us to repurpose for the courts, and obviously that work is halfway through at the moment. I've noticed, and I know some of you have as well, people are out playing tennis again, half-court basketball and whatever that small soccer game is called. So it's good to see they're already being used, and hopefully when the finishing touches are done and it looks schmicko, kids will flood back there en masse at the back end of summer, and we can then look to revitalise the Wilf Stolmaker building as our next hurdle. Councillor Owen?
Yeah, thanks. My question relates to page 40, and it's to do with the signage, tourism signage around the island, and the fact that there's some sort of negotiation with State Growth, and crossing our fingers that they'll fund some signs on their managed roads. And I see that idea of moving that funding to other tourism-related projects such as visitor survey and website. I'm just understanding the sort of pros and cons of that. I can see the advantage of it, but keeping that money possibly for more signage on our roads, was that a consideration? Yeah. I just want to understand the pros and cons of that, and both. I want to understand both sides of the argument.
A few dot points then on signage through you to Helen, or possibly the works manager as well.
So the crux of the conversation that we've had so far with State Growth is when we first approached them a year or so ago to ask for a permit to put these signs up, they seem to think that from what we've described, they should be paying for these signs, not council or tourism. We were quite happy to wait for them to make that determination before we decided what to do next. But 12 months later, they're now talking about coming over to the island in 3 or 4 months' time to have a look for themselves. And the point of this funding, although it's come to council, this funding was promised to King Island to support tourism operators in the aftermath of a rather vague announcement by the Public Health Director in 2021 that King Island is a dangerous place. So this money was intended to directly benefit tourism operators on the island. And while visitor signage is of an indirect benefit to tourism operators, it seems counterproductive to keep holding on to this money in case State Growth decide they're not going to pay for these signs, which isn't going to directly benefit tourism operators anyway. So in reviewing the intent of the funding with our regional tourism organisation and Tourism Tasmania, we agreed that it makes a lot more sense to redirect that funding into something that is directly of benefit to tourism operators in informing their forward business, which is the visitor survey.
I understand, yeah.
And it won't be the full amount that's going from signage to the visitor survey, just to be clear.
Yeah.
So we're still working through ways that we can make that as beneficial as possible to tourism operators.
Yeah, I totally understand it, and I can understand that the merits and the logic of doing that. My only counterpoint to that is that signage has been something, and improving signage, especially destination signage, which is not on state growth areas, is been something that we've kicked around for a fair while, and there could have been a possibility with these funds that we could actually dip our toe in the water and sort of take a bit of the first step towards that. That was just my interest, and just from a personal experience, I do speak to many tourists, and that they have a lot of trouble navigating this island. I took a tour of a guy who worked in police search and rescue, and he got lost on King Island. He would have loved a better sign. So that's all I'll say.
I think just to close that off, just to be clear about the scope of the signage that was included in this grant.
Yep.
It was 11 signs at key points on the island that were pointing to visitor attractions.
Yeah, I understand.
Beach this way, airport that way.
Yep.
It wasn't really very much more than that. So I'm fairly sure that if your police officer got lost with the current signage, he wasn't going to be much better with the 11 signs that we were putting up with this funding. So this is by no means saying that we're no longer looking at signage or considering signage.
Yep.
It's simply about trying to achieve the objectives of this grant, which was to support tourism operators, and there's a limit to how long we can expect them to wait to get some benefit from this funding.
And in the tourism strategy, I believe there's a priority action is signage. So that hasn't gone away either. It's still a priority action.
Yeah, I think we've mentioned this a few times, haven't we, in council meetings over the past 12 or 18 months, is that we're undersubscribed for signage across the island, and we know we have those big gales that come along and they blow a lot of signage over or destroy it and whatever else, and so it not only is it continual replacement, but a lot of it has faded or needs replacement, or we need new signage outright. So I think we might have to, as a council, just appropriate more for signage in our planning for next financial year's budget. For sure. Just on communications, which is kind of one of Helen's broad responsibilities as well. The Premier wrote to us recently and said that the state is turning off free government Wi-Fi around Tasmania. So we were worried about the airport, the government free Wi-Fi that was provided there. But Jess, thanks to good work by Jess, she'd beaten us to it. She'd liaised in advance with State Growth, and State Growth has agreed that to make an exception of King Island and to leave free government Wi-Fi on at our airport because of the importance of it to us. So well done, Jess, and so we've headed that one off at the pass.
For a little while at the airport while we sort out another solution. But yes, the switch off date for the airport has been postponed at the moment.
Just follow up on that. Is it still capped at 30 minutes?
Good question. I don't know the answer. I've only ever used it kind of in transit, which is the biggest purpose for it being there is for that emergency communication when you first arrive at the island and you're not sure about you didn't know you only had Telstra. At least people can still make contact. So, yeah, that was my big argument, my discussion point with State Growth in in ensuring that we had continuity of service there and not letting that be switched off before we had something else in place, and they have agreed to that.
If they're also agreeable to extending the time on it or whatever else, or the capacity of it, then by all means let's throw ourselves on that as well if they're kind to us. Also, the Telstra provided Wi-Fi in the main street is under a different scheme, so that will continue as per extant arrangements and wasn't included in that letter by the Premier. Or any other questions then or discussions? Councillor Green.
Page 38. 3.4.2. I'm just wondering, a quote has been provided by Yellow Rock Consulting to prepare a data-led synopsis of housing supply and demand. Was that taken up and how's it going?
Through the GM to Helen, how's that tracking?
To be honest, I haven't actually had the quote yet, and I had forgotten. I wrote in here that I had the quote because I was due to get the quote that day, and the document I got wasn't a quote. So I don't have a quote. I have... that's very embarrassing. I'm ever so sorry. So I don't have a quote just yet, but a quote is being prepared, and I have a meeting with Yellow Rock Consulting first thing tomorrow morning.
Yep.
So by the time anybody else gets to work, I'll have an update on what's happening with that. I'm so sorry.
Because that's on how we spend that 1.2 on...
Two separate things.
Right.
Two separate things. So the 1.2 is we really, as a council, really have very little input on how that is spent. It will be state government and the Department of State Growth who proceed with that and make decisions on that. We have given some feedback, as we've discussed at a council workshop. The separate quote from Yellow Rock is really driven by the passion of that individual consultant and feedback that he has received, and that council has been considering housing as a topic for quite some time. So he's really just keen to get into it and continue his trajectory of working on the data of King Island now that he's done the beef shipping report.
Okay. Thank you.
All right, any further questions then or discussion for the Growth and Strategy report? Somebody like to move, therefore, that the Growth and Strategy report for November be received and noted. Councillor Ira Cook has moved. Councillor Healy has seconded. All those in favour? Carried unanimously. Over the page, item 15.1 is the Deputy General Manager's report for November. First and foremost, I just want to acknowledge the great event that was last week, our final Municipal Emergency Management Committee meeting for the year. These meetings are a cast of thousands and lots fly in from state level, which is fantastic. We not only had that last week, but we also had a large desktop exercise focused on the potential outbreak of bird flu on King Island and what may ensue if that was to happen here. And then we finished the day with a volunteers dinner put on by council to acknowledge all of our great emergency services first responders here on King Island, and it was a great night had by all, and they appreciated the compliment, and it was nice that we paid maybe a long overdue tribute, but we paid a tribute to them specifically. And that was well done. So, and we've made a lot of headway this year, and we've covered a lot of ground, and we've improved a whole lot of things across our emergency management coordination, documentation and everything. Deputy General Manager has driven that, so I just acknowledge that Marty's work in that space this year has really gripped everything up for us as a council and prepared us well for whatever might happen or hopefully not happen. But we're well prepared in the event of anything that might happen on King Island anytime soon. So well done, Nadia. Would you like to say anything else associated with last week? Your discretion.
It was a very good exercise. It was really about building relationships between state and local, and I think we achieved that goal. As the Mayor said, a lot of state people came across to the island again, which is the second time this year they've done that. And previously they haven't attended many of our meetings, but it shows the respect that they're gaining for King Island as an island, and looking at our unique situation. So it was great preparation for that.
Any further questions then or discussions related to the GGM's report? Would somebody like to move that we receive the report? Deputy Mayor has moved. Councillor Green has seconded. All those in favour? Carried unanimously. Across to item 16.1 on page 47, if anyone's lost us, it's the General Manager's report. And so, GM, at your discretion to
Thank you.
hit the high points.
Yes, well, this is my last council meeting. We thought last one was going to be, but here I am again still. So, again, just to thank you all for your support, and particularly the Mayor and the Deputy Mayor, in terms of your leadership. I should have also mentioned, and I do apologise, I should have mentioned Mr Lewis in relation to the audit process in the last meeting, because it was, and our finance coordinator reason, because we did get to the audit process at the end financially, but it was a tricky journey. So the amount of work that went into that was extraordinary. But again, just thank all the councillors and the staff for your support. I would just like to talk about the LGAT general meeting that the Deputy Mayor and I went to, and Council had 2 resolutions up for support. One, unfortunately, didn't quite make it, which was the retrospective leave of absence in an emergency situation. It was well argued by our Deputy Mayor, but it was narrowly defeated in the end. But the good news was that attendance at council meetings via electronic means, whether that be via Zoom or Teams, certainly was supported, and we know that that's very dear to the heart of this council. So it was again well represented by the Deputy Mayor, and one on the day, and that was a very good outcome. So just to acknowledge the Deputy Mayor and his point of argument, and we won in that context to have that go back to LGAT. Now, next year there is going to be a review of the Local Government Act.
This one and the local government meeting procedures in particular.
And so we'll be very hopeful that with the support of every local government in Tasmania, that in fact will happen as it does in other states. So let's fingers crossed that actually happens. That's all, Mr Mayor.
Excellent.
Through you, Mr Mayor, I'd just like to thank Flinders Island Council for backing us. They were well supported this.
Yeah. They passed a very similar motion and resolution to ours not long after we passed ours a year or so back. So it's good to be backed up by them as well. Again, they suffer similar isolation to us, and they've been caught out. Their councillors have been caught out a few times as well. So so when that policy is updated next year, the default setting is now that's what the local government sector in Tasmania wants to do, is free up attendance at ordinary meetings via Zoom and Teams, where the councillors, the technology and the fidelity is such now that they can fully take part in a debate, they can hear everything, they can be seen to vote on screen, it's all legit, it's all above board. It's only done by exception. The preference is always to be in the room, as we know, but that technology will work for us, where a councillor can't make it, but we still want that councillor, and we still need that councillor involved in the decision-making of a meeting. Councillor Allen?
Yeah, I'd like to move the recommendation, but also a motion of thanks for Catherine for coming over to our little council for an extended period of time. So if I could move those 2 motions, please.
Yes, thank you. Seconder. I have a seconder. Councillor Cook has, Ira Cook has seconded. We'll just let Leah catch up with that. Yes, Catherine, you will be missed, and we wish you a very Merry Christmas, and thanks for staying an extra few weeks with us on your own this time, without Chris and your dog.
Yes, no dog.
So over and above, so brilliant. All right, so it's been moved and seconded. All those in favour? Carried unanimously. Item 16.2, last week was our final workshop for the year, and it was a doozy. We covered a lot of material, but there's really nothing further to add, is there?
No, it's all there.
Everyone's there, we're all involved. Somebody like to move that the workshop report be received and noted? Councillor Green has moved, seconded by Councillor Ira Cook has seconded. All those in favour? Carried unanimously. Item 16.3, information report for November. The front end of this report has been shortened. I just note that, and then literally over the next page we go straight into the actions list. So we'll work our way through. No questions or discussion related to the front page. We'll go over to the crowd favourite, the actions list, starting on page 54 and working down. Again, a lot of this material was covered only last week in our workshop, so I think we're all pretty up to date this time around with all this material. Any questions or discussions related to the actions list? Okay, looks like we are pretty up to date on everything. Service requests for the month of November, a relatively quiet month, 12 service requests for November. Typical monthly average is about 20. And our backlog continues to go down, currently at 24 at the moment, which is good work. So again, good work to the Works team in particular. And I'll be at the Works depot tomorrow morning at 7 along with Catherine and Marty, just to, on behalf of all of us councillors, just to wish the Works team all the best for Christmas and thank them for the great work they've done this year. And have a quick chat with them and a brew with them tomorrow morning early.
Early start.
Any further questions or discussions related to the information report? Would somebody like to move that the information report for November be received and noted? Deputy Mayor has moved. Do I have a seconder? Councillor Rowan Cook has seconded. All those in favour? Carried unanimously. Item 16.4, the policy review. We workshopped this last week, the cyber security policy, and from last week's workshop, there were several amendments that were rolled in from that feedback, and those amendments that have been rolled in are in the attached document, pages 66 through to 74. So one final scan of it. Hopefully everyone's satisfied with. We made quite a few changes to it, didn't we?
We did.
At least a dozen or so. It's we all know computer files and cyber and whatever else is a growth understatement of modern times is a growth sector. So it's a policy that may have to be updated by exception, by lessons learned, by changes in technology, by changes in IT service contracts and other things as well. So this is more of a fluid policy than perhaps some of our other ones you can carve into a stone tablet.
And just through the Mayor, just for the councillors' benefit, this is, I think, the last policy that we've got to, so thank you to Mrs Martin for all of her work on this.
Yeah, we've rolled through a lot of policies this year and updated them and or replaced them or retired some as well, which is good. So well done to the team for that. Councillor Allen.
Just to follow up from what General Manager said, so we have caught up with the policy review and the recession of policies.
That's correct. I understand, yes.
Wow, that's quite good actually. I've been I've been a councillor for 6 years and I'm sure that project has started way before I came near this place.
Well, through the Mayor, we've also updated all of the internal policies as well, the procedures, and I can't recall how many numbers that was, but about 25 or something. So everything's up to date.
Yeah, when you build a big shiny building like the Hub, people notice there's a whole lot of work going to that, but to finally catch up with all those policy reviews, that's swag of work.
Yeah, it's important work that needs to be done regularly and unsung work that needs to be done, and so well done to the council team for getting it done and for bringing them to workshops regularly too, so we can have a good look over them and we're all across the updates and amendments ourselves as councillors. There's no further questions or discussions. Would somebody like to move that we adopt that revised policy? Do I have a mover? Councillor Allen has moved. Councillor Green has seconded. All those in favour? Carried unanimously. Across to page 75. 75 is the community assistance grant. So Councillor Allen and the Deputy Mayor will step out for a quick leg stretch and we'll crack on. Yes, all right. 16.5 is more in-kind assistance for the Imperial 20. Imperial 20 is probably going to be a big event next year because they've been recently very successful in setting up a booth to promote it at the Melbourne Marathon. And so this could be maybe one of the biggest Imperial 20s ever this year if the interest that was shown in Melbourne, if a few of them, even only a few of them come over here, it's going to be good for the event. So with that in mind, hopefully these additional resources will be good for the island all round. Any questions or discussions? Somebody like to move that Councillor Healy has moved. Councillor Green has seconded. All those in favour? Carried unanimously. That community assistance grant is approved. Over to page 79 now. Item 16.6, we're on to page 79 now, which is the retrospective approval for the Christmas markets that were run last Friday. So, somebody like to move the recommendation on page 80? Councillor Green has moved. Do I have a seconder? Councillor Rowan Cook has seconded. All those in favour? Carried unanimously. Onto the back page. Closed council. Would somebody like to move that we adjourn into closed council to discuss the following? Councillor Ira Cook has moved. Do I have a seconder? Councillor Green has seconded. All those in favour? Carried unanimously. On behalf of King Island Council, I wish all of our constituents a Merry Christmas for 2024 and a Happy New Year for 2025. Our ordinary meeting is adjourned. I thank the public for attending, all those that will listen to it. We'll take a quick break. Thank you.